Hi guys, welcome back. It's time to do the chicken marinade to go with the chicken pieces, obviously. That goes with the fried rice that I made earlier in the one pot recipe. This completes the meal for them, and then I can food prep about 10 meals for the family for the week. So using the brown sugar that we made earlier, we're going to start this recipe off with half a cup of soy sauce. You can use a light soy sauce. I prefer a dark, but you can use a light. Mum used this particular one, so it's what I'm going with, Mum's recipe. Alrighty, so half a cup of soy sauce. Now, the good thing about this recipe is you can make up the marinade, put your chicken in it, and mix it all together and pop it in the fridge or even in the freezer and then pull out marinated chicken later on. This, however, is not going to make it to the freezer. It's going to be cooked today. So to our half a cup of soy sauce, we need to have about a third a cup or 3 good dessert spoons of honey. I also need a good tablespoon of the brown sugar. So before the spoon goes in the honey, I'll just put it into the brown sugar. So 1 tablespoon or dessert spoon of brown sugar and then 3 spoons of honey. Fresh local honey, good sized spoon, straight into the pot. Do this 3 times. And then we're going to get some fresh garlic and some fresh ginger. And we're going to add that as well to our marinade and whisk it all together. You can have sesame oil if you don't have fresh sesame seeds. And sesame oil, you'll just need a small amount, maybe a teaspoon. Or it'll be a tablespoon of fresh sesame seeds, which when we cook the marinade together with the chicken will release the oils anyway. The sesame seeds are a lot more economical than buying the sesame oil, or good sesame oil anyway. So that was my 3 spoons of honey. And now I need to get a tablespoon of freshly minced garlic and a tablespoon of freshly minced ginger. So in goes a tablespoon or so of freshly crushed or minced garlic. This is our garlic from the garden, so it's in the freezer, which is how it's been preserved. And now I just need to add some fresh ginger, which has come from the garden fresh. So I'll grate that up as well. So just a 2.5 centimetre or so piece of fresh ginger, that's just getting grated up. If you don't have fresh ginger or garlic, obviously you can use commercial bought freshly minced ginger and garlic, just preferably not the dried ginger and garlic. It just doesn't have the same flavour profile when making the marinade. Okay, to this I need to add a third of a cup of, you can use sherry, you can use Chinese cooking wine, or I'm using Mum's favourite wine, a dry white, which is a soft blanc. It's what we have. We don't have cooking wine or Chinese wine, and we've always used, or cherry, we've always just used white wine, and that's what's going in, Mum's favourite. White wine, 1/3 of a cup. Then just need to add 1 tablespoon of corn flour or cornstarch. This will then help when we cook the chicken and it marinades after it's been marinated, and the marinade then becomes a sauce as well once it cooks, and so it creates a lovely glaze. And then lastly, about a tablespoon or so of sesame seeds. Like I said, if you don't have sesame seeds, you can use sesame oil. I would add the sesame oil during the cooking process instead of during the marinating process. That's done. Mix it all together. Okay, perfect marinade for white meat as far as chicken or pork goes. Either way, it goes well with both. We're going to do chicken today, so I'll go get the chicken and put it all together. So I've added 1 kilo of diced up chicken fillets to this one. This just happens to be leg meat, but like I said, you can use thigh meat. You can use breast fillets if you want, but chop them up really finely, thinly, into strips as well, but they tend to dry out a bit more. So you kind of do need to use the meat of chicken or pork that contains some of the fat as well. All right, that needs to go in the refrigerator, preferably overnight, but at minimum 2 hours. Then we'll come back and we're going to cook this up. I'm going to use my electric wok instead of using the wok on the stove because this uses less power in the house and it's an overcast day. So to my hot smoking wok, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of avocado oil or a vegetable oil. The oil's nice and hot, so I'm going to add the chicken in batches because I've done a bit over 1 kilo and that's quite a lot. Oh, it's got some heat to it. I'm going to cook all that off. So I'm going to cook that until it's all nice and golden. You can add some onion slices to this as well. My family don't like onion with their chicken. So I'm lucky to get the vegetables within the fried rice. So I'm not adding anything extra to this. And remembering there's corn flour in the marinade, which I've reserved some of as well, so that when it's finished, I can then cook up the sauce separately. But this will all cook up nice and golden. If you're using a stove or a wok, that's great. In the oven, you can also cook it up in the oven, especially if you're using chicken wings or boned in chicken pieces. That does really well in an oven, and the pork is amazing in a barbecue or a smoker. But since we're doing one-pot meals, and this is just a one-pot meal, obviously, it's just the chicken part, and the rice was the chicken part, we're just going to stick with doing it in the pan. And like I said, because it's an overcast day outside, even though shouldn't be, but it is, it's an overcast day, so we don't have as much power with the solar system. I can't run the oven and the stovetop at the same time, so I'm just going to stick with the wok. It's easy, and it fits all the chicken in anyway. So this is a full kilo and a bit of chicken at a really high heat. Just going to cook it all down and just make sure it doesn't stew or burn. So just keeping it moving, as you do with any product that you've got cooking in a high heat wok. Okay, so we're just cooking it down. I want to get a really nice caramel glaze, because remember, it's got honey and brown sugar in this, so I want to get some really nice colour on the chicken before I add all of the marinade back to create the sauce to them. But I want to get some colour on my chicken first, and that just takes a couple of minutes. Now that the chicken is almost finished cooking and we're still at a really high heat, just going to keep it moving so we don't catch and burn. Although it is a non-stick wok, it's still using sugar and honey. And as all of that steam evaporates, it condenses it all down to a really rich caramel, sweet honey soy sauce. All right, let's keep going. Beautiful. Once again, you're not going to get all these beaut type of camera shots from me, unfortunately. I'm in my nook, I'm in my kitchen. It's the only place where I've got a window to help with the ventilation when I'm cooking like this on a high heat, because there are no exhausts running in this house. We just don't have that kind of power to be able to do that without going on to mains. Rightio. Gorgeous. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Smells amazing. Just going to add the sauce back to it that I pulled out earlier and reserved the marinade just to create a sauce for this. It doesn't really need one, but it does help with the rice as well. So marinade just been poured in over the top. I'm just going to heat that back up again and just thicken that marinade, because it's got the cornstarch in it, like I said, and that'll just create a beautiful, rich sauce for the chicken. It'll only take a moment, usually just takes a couple of minutes. If you didn't want to have the sauce, obviously you don't need to. It's the way we've always done it. Always have nice sauce to go with the rice. And that is basically all it takes, and it's already thickened. All right, I'm going to turn that off because this needs to cool down before I can meal prep it with the rice. We made the rice yesterday in one pot, and we've done this one in one pot as well. But, you know, yes, I marinated it in another. Quick and easy. This chicken was purchased from our Ingham's factory outlet, so it was quite economical. For the 1.5 kilos of fillet, it was around about $6 a kilo. So quite cheap, actually, $5.50 a kilo, I think it was. So quite a cheap meal, considering I'm going to make this into 10 meals, which is 100 grams plus of chicken for each person with the rice. That's adequate. 80 grams of protein is a serve, so 100 grams is more than adequate. Plus they get the rice as well. So now that's finished, I will move on to prepping the rice into the meal prep containers. I simply buy them at Amazon, nothing special. They're not the really large ones, they're just a medium size. This way I can meal prep for the family for lunches and dinners for the next few days, or it can go in the freezer and just be pulled out whenever they want a meal as well. Okay, into the meal prepping stage. Okay, so rice that we made earlier, completely cooled down now. So this was just 3 cups of rice. This is a huge bowl of rice. So like I said, this is going to make 10 serves. So rice goes in first, chicken goes on top, and we're going to have ourselves quick and easy dinner, and it's going to cost next to nothing. If I wanted to do my math and work it out as I've done in the past, these meals are usually under $2 in total, especially when I get the chicken as cheaply as we do when we purchase it from the factory outlet, but you can get thigh fillets for $10 a kilo. So 100 grams of this meat will be $1 worth of chicken, and the rice and the veggies, again, only $1 worth. So once again, it'll be a $2 meal easily. So I'm quite happy with that, and it keeps our budgets way down. Okay, so here's our fried rice, 10 trays as I said I was going to get. And to that, I just need to add my chicken now that it's cooled down as well. There we go, all done. 10 meals made with my chicken, my fried rice. Took me no time to make the fried rice in the pot. Took me no time to marinate the chicken and then cook it as well. So it's taken me less than half an hour to make dinner for the next 10 days as least. Well, meals for 10 people at least. Pretty good. And quite cheap to make. I hope you enjoy that recipe. It was one of Mum's favourites, and like I said, we've been doing that for a very long time. And it goes so well with so many different types of protein. So chicken in particular, whether you do chicken wings, whole chicken, or whether or not you do the fillets as well. And it's really good with pork, especially a pork belly. So yeah, enjoy. Thanks very much. Bye.